Man, Mr. Schwartz, a short story by Chris Arnold. The first class that I ever had in high school was World History with Mr. Schwartz. Mr. Schwartz was probably the most likable guy you could have ever had at Massaquoi High School. He was always happy to see you, and you were always happy to see him. I would leisurely walk into class every morning, and I would find my seat in the third row by the window. Rays of sunlight would peek underneath the window shades, and I would often find myself half asleep up until the light bell would go off and wake me up like an alarm clock. Mr. Schwartz would stand in front of the class, relaxed and grinning happily. The active board behind him would display some sort of person or event that was current and important to him. He would stand in front of everyone, nodding his head in a stylish groove, and begin the class every morning by openly asking who the person was or what was the event behind him. Nobody would answer. Ever. The whole entire class would sit there completely stumped. We are freshmen, so we are way too cool to spend time reading articles about important things or dare to even answer a question. Complete silence would take over the room, as if we had entered a funeral home. The only noise that existed in the room at this point was the fan, an occasional cough, and an eraser scraping against paper from a student who was pretending to write in his or her current event journal. This would really frustrate him. It obviously meant a lot to him, and nobody would give any effort at all. His face would turn red and express utter disappointment in all of us because nobody would even attempt to even guess at the current event. I wanted to change that. After school that day, I breezed right through all my homework. I wanted to surprise Mr. Schwartz and at least show him I wasn't going to waste his time. So I decided to go on CNN.com, NewYorkTimes.com, and MSNBC.com and read all about current events. I gazed upon articles for a couple of hours, reading and researching all that I could. I was astonished by what was really going on in the world and how oblivious I was to it. The next morning, I walked into class and he asked us who 7 people were on the board. 5 of the 7 people were middle-aged to elderly-looking white men, smiling in luxurious charcoal coats. One of the 7 people was a brunette woman in a gray woman's suit, smiling with bright white teeth and red lipstick. The final person was an African-American man who was also smiling mightily and wearing a charcoal coat. The look of doom and disparity already began to appear on Mr. Schwartz's face yet again, as if he could already tell the future. Shockingly, a hand arose, and the gloomy look on his face immediately transformed to a huge smile and beaming eyes. The hand was mine, and instantly he becked on me with excitement and glee. Those 7 people are Mitt Romney, Ron Paul, Newt Gingrich, Rick Santorum, Rick Perry, Michelle Bachmann, and Herman Cain, and they are all GOP candidates who are running for office of presidency in 2012, I said eagerly. Sporadically, Mr. Schwartz began to pump his fist in amazement as if he had won an award. He was shocked, almost in a pause for a few seconds. Then, in front of the entire class, he let out a loud burst and belted joyfully, "My man, Chris Arnold!" I suddenly came to the realization that I looked like a total nerd in front of my entire class. Then I came to the realization that I didn't care. It felt way better to see Mr. Schwartz happy than it did to feel cool. Being the incredibly awkward person that I still am to this day, I had no idea what to say or do at this point. So I simply said back to him, "My man, Mr. Schwartz."